Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, we're all awake and doing well, right? I see smiling faces. Well, this is a wonderful first Public Safety Council meeting for our new council. So I thank all of you who are here, and we'll have the roll call.
All right, we have Councilmember Scipio,
Present.
Councilmember Hall,
Present.
Councilmember Joyner,
Present.
Councilmember Andrew Bowen.
Here.
Thank you very much, council members. And for those of you who are here and in the public, this is, I would call it a neophyte council, because all of us are new to the Public Safety Committee. I was not a former committee member, but I came to all the meetings. And these are all of our newly elected council members. And so we have the wonderful, wonderful task of serving on public safety, which is one of the most important areas of our city. And the services that we render to the public, it's the thing that most people know and remember about our city. So we're very honored to actually serve on this committee. Normally, the way the committee works, and we'll follow our agenda, is that we have a consent agenda and we have a general agenda. New council members, typically the consent agenda is voted on unless you pull an item, because these items have been discussed in a previous committee, typically. So are there any items that you would like to have pulled for any discussion today? If none, is there a motion to approve the
I'll make a motion
consent?
to approve.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. We'll continue now to our general agenda. And these items will have some discussion, and we will also be voting. If we need to vote, we'll be voting online on our iPad. Okay. So, Madam Clerk, may we have the first item?
Item G1, resolution authorizing support of the reclassification of Winston-Salem Police Department 911 dispatchers as protective service occupations.
And we are having, Chief Penn is not here, but who will be presenting this reclassification?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have Director Martha Hicks, who's our communications director here, and this was something we had worked on to present. It's a federal movement for reclassification from a clerical to public safety professionals across the nation. There are several jurisdictions throughout the country, as well as within our state, Guilford County, Greensboro being some of them most close to us, that have passed this resolution previously. And we thought it also was important for our city to recognize the work of our telecommunicators and the great work that they do as public safety professionals.
And the communications folks at the Winston-Salem Police Department, the 911 Center, do want to become part of this resolution so that we know that the city and the mayor, the city council, the assistant managers, the city manager are all behind the 911 folks, and that we will become the first responders also, because we are the first of the first responders. We have most of the first contacts with anything that comes through the city.
And this is important on a federal level, because when they re-examine the movement to reclassify them, they will look at jurisdictions across the country that have passed a motion in support of the legislation to make that happen. So they will look at various areas and jurisdictions that have passed this legislation and or in support of it, of the resolution, in support of the legislation to make that happen. So we want to be on that list of jurisdictions that have already passed support for the legislation to show that we value the work and that we truly recognize them as the first responders.
Any questions or comments about this?
Madam Chairman,
Mr. Mayor?
I just want to echo and support this effort there for those, if you've been up in the Public Safety Center, you know it's a high-stress situation, and these operators are the first ones to hear from individuals who's having trouble or issues going on. In a lot of cases, they talk them through that or talk them down in some ways there, so I think this is very appropriate to give them this designation.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a point of clarification. Did you all say that Greensboro has already done this?
I believe Greensboro and Guilford County have already passed this, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Don't quote me on the time frame, but I know it was a couple years ago when the movement first was started. And so they're kind of re-motivating everyone to get on board with this, so when the federal system looks at it again, that we have more jurisdictions signed on.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
And my next question is, so with the support of council passing this and approving this, this will help with the ultimate federal approach that you all will be taking and others across the country will be taking. And it would bid well to see the support of this council supporting this, right?
100%, absolutely. That's the first step, and then also just for the recognition locally for our dispatchers and telecommunicators in our jurisdiction, we think it's important as well to recognize them, and then it will be obviously part of the federal movement to show that we support ours.
She had me when she said Greensboro had already done it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
We figured we better add that in there.
Yes, Madam Chair, would the clerk please put up the attachment of the jurisdictions and the legislation on the statements piece to the resolution?
Yes.
I would have thought that it would have been more cities than what's listed, but again, the important work that you do. I don't care what emergency comes in across our country, whether it was 911, whether it's any of the school incidences or anything, you all are the first to get the call and to relay that information to those that are out in the field that have to respond on site. So anything that brings acknowledgement to the importance of your work is very important throughout the country. And as the mayor said, I support this wholeheartedly. Too bad they didn't think of this years ago, or we didn't think of it, but thank you so much for your service.
Scott?
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. In the request, the second paragraph, the summary, it says, currently the 911 dispatchers are not classified as first responders under federal law, which means they do not receive the same benefits. Does this mean that if this goes forward that you will recognize to have the same benefits, you know?
On a federal level,
On a federal level?
yes.
Excellent.
I think this is very important for us to do. I never thought that you weren't classified as first responders. Sometimes we just assume that's not always good. So you are the very first responders on most of our emergencies. So this is very, very important to give you that position. So do I have a motion from the committee?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Got to vote. It will come up. It should. Got it. Sometimes technology works well, and sometimes it doesn't work so well. So I assume that was unanimous. Okay, great. Let's go to G2, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item G2, ordinance amending City Code Chapter 34, establishing regulations for massage and bodywork therapy businesses.
Hello, I'm Susan Warner. I'm a detective with Winston-Salem Police Department's Special Victims Unit, and I specialize in human trafficking investigations. The illicit massage industry has grown tremendously over the past decade in the U.S. Unfortunately, Winston-Salem is not exempt from the perpetrators of this activity trying to operate in our city. Winston-Salem Police Department investigators have devoted a lot of time and resources into pursuing criminal charges with some successful results. We are proposing a city ordinance to not only supplement our efforts, but also to provide a measure of prevention from the businesses being allowed to open in the first place. Winston-Salem would be at the forefront in taking a multi-pronged approach to assure massage services in our city are rendered properly.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee, and City Council members. And thank you to my co-presenter, Detective Warner, with the Winston-Salem Police Department for providing background on this important topic. My name is Pridgen Green, Assistant City Attorney for Public Safety, and I'm here before you this afternoon to provide a brief overview of the proposed ordinance addressing massage and bodywork therapy in Winston-Salem. During last month's committee meeting, we referenced the illicit massage industry, which can be summed up as bad actors perpetuating sex trafficking, prostitution, and other crimes under the guise of operating a legitimate massage and bodywork therapy establishment. The purpose of this proposed ordinance is to take proactive measures to supplement existing state law and make Winston-Salem less hospitable to the illicit massage industry, as well as to safeguard public health, safety, and welfare by assuring the public that those who own and operate massage establishments are providing legal and professional services, and that the therapists providing those services have satisfactorily met the ethical and competency standards of the profession. You may recall that I said the proposed ordinance would supplement existing state law, and you may also be thinking, if existing state law already addresses the practice of massage, why does Winston-Salem need to do anything further? It is correct, the Massage and Bodywork Therapy Practice Act, which is found within the North Carolina General Statutes, addresses the practice of massage and bodywork therapy within the state. It establishes standards, mandates licensure, and also details enforcement measures for violations of the statute. But the reality is that even with the existence of the State Massage Act, there are still some businesses that hold themselves out to the public as legitimate without having demonstrated that they've met state requirements. The Massage and Bodywork Therapy Practice Act is a helpful tool in regulating the practice of massage, but its enforcement measures are not immediate, and it does not contemplate how to prevent future violations of the statute. So this is where a city ordinance would be helpful by filling in those gaps that are left by the state statute. And as you see referenced on the slide, some ways that the proposed ordinance would assist are by providing for applicant background checks, requiring businesses to submit lists of employees that will be providing massage, and providing a yearly review process to supplement the state's every other year process. Which leads to the question of what would this proposed ordinance do? Basically, it would establish a process for massage businesses to submit a permit application with yearly review and for enforcement of the ordinance, all predicated on massage businesses demonstrating compliance with state licensure requirements before they hold themselves out for the purposes of providing massage services to the public. This ordinance would address the practice of massage and bodywork therapy, advertising, representing, or holding oneself out to others as a massage and bodywork therapist or business, and also using any title that is descriptive of any branch of massage to describe one's practice. So one question that came up during last month's committee meeting is whether this proposed ordinance would create any additional hurdles for those legitimate massage businesses that are already operating ethically and legally. And the short answer to that is no. Firstly, individual massage therapists who have demonstrated that they have complied with current state licensure requirements, they are exempt under this proposed ordinance, so they will be subjected to no additional requirements. Massage and bodywork therapy businesses who are current with their state licensure requirements must only submit proof of their compliance to the city on an annual basis. And this would supplement the existing requirement that they submit this information to the state board every 2 years. So providing the city with yearly proof of compliance with state requirements will not create an additional burden for those businesses that are already compliant with those requirements. So hypothetically speaking, let's say that one day a violation of the proposed ordinance is found. Then what? On the first occurrence, a notice of violation would be issued. And should there be continued or recurrent violations, that would trigger revocation of the permit and the imposition of a civil penalty. In the event of continued or recurrent violations, closure of the business would follow, as well as possible injunctive relief. Injunctive relief being a legal remedy that courts can impose to stop a party from performing specific acts. So these mechanisms for enforcement supplement other available tools that are already in existence, such as having officers with law enforcement or the Winston-Salem Police Department conduct investigations of suspected criminal activity with the view of seeking charges and pursuing criminal prosecution as appropriate, and also communicating with the North Carolina Board of Massage and Bodywork Therapy to enforce violations under the Massage and Bodywork Therapy Practice Act. And since we are discussing other municipalities that have done similar things, Greensboro has already passed an ordinance of this nature.
I like that.
So I want to thank you for your attention. That was the overview of the ordinance. And at this time, if any of you have additional questions, my co-presenter, Detective Warner, and I are happy to do our best to answer those for you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember?
Attorney Green, who would be going to the facilities to enforce these ordinances?
Well, one of the ways that this would work is that it imposes the requirement that those businesses submit information to the city manager's office or their designee. This also does not stop the public who notices anything wrong from reaching out to law enforcement if they see something that looks inappropriate. And so together, the city branches would work to make sure that everything is in order.
So we're not talking about the ALE or health department or any other helping to secure, to make sure that these ordinances and policies are enforced?
I guess it would depend on the specific facts of whatever is going on, but as far as how we're envisioning this work, the only additional thing it imposes is for massage and bodywork therapy establishments to submit their proof of compliance to the city every year, whereas they send it to the state every other year. And also, if there are issues that the public knows about, they can reach out to, of course, they can reach out to the city any way they can, or they can contact law enforcement directly that will look into whether or not there are suspected criminal violations occurring.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon. One quick question of clarity. Did you say that if I'm already a legitimate massage parlor, that I don't have to follow this ordinance?
No. So
Okay.
what, I'll clarify. So there are two different licenses for massage within the state law. So there's the license for the individual massage therapist, and then there's the license for the business. So an individual massage therapist who's compliant, this ordinance would not require anything additional of them. As for the business, all it requires is, since the state statute says that they have to submit certain information to the state every 2 years, they would be submitting that same information, the same proof of their compliance with the state requirements. They would send that to the city every year. And so that would enable the city to have eyes on these businesses and a better grasp of who was doing what within the city to make sure that everything is happening appropriately.
Thank you. You talked about the permit process. Is the permit process the same as the submission of these documents, the same that they would present to the state every 2 years? Is that what we would be calling as documents a part of the permit process? That's question one. And 1A would be, would the police department be the city department that would oversee that permit process? I know depending on what type of city permit you have, you need to go to a different department. So would that be purview of the police department, or would the city attorney's office house those permits?
Okay, so I'll start with question one, and question one was to describe a little more the permit application process. And so the same documents that are required to be submitted with the state licensure, those are the same documents that would come to the city, along with a form that is approved through the city manager's office.
Okay.
So that's the same documentation. It's just that instead of sending it to the state every 2 years, every year they would send it to us. The second part is there a role for the Winston-Salem Police Department? And so yes, as far as the background checks, yes, there's a role for looking into that. However, the proposed ordinance contemplates the city manager or the city manager's designee as being the one that would field that within the city. And right now, we are considering revenue as being the one that would do that.
Oh, so they could, and, okay, that makes sense. They could just go across the street to the first floor. Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just to provide a couple of clarifying remarks, particularly to Councilmember Joyner's request about who would be doing the enforcement pieces of this. Like many things that we do, it takes a village. So in this case, different people would have expertise in different areas. So for businesses, we want to make it convenient for them. So they're likely not going to the police department to fill in the applications. Revenue or business inclusion, there's a couple of places that could house that. If a complaint comes in, then it would determine what the complaint was about as to who would probably be responding to that. If it's illegal activity, clearly the police department is going to be responding. If it's if they have a pool in the establishment and there's concerns about the cleanliness of the pool, that very well is a public health issue, and they would be called in to deal with that. If it's a building issue, our building inspectors might be going to do that. So we would work together to deal with the issues that come up in the ordinance to make sure that everything is operating safely and appropriately in each of the establishments.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. We all know that human trafficking is on the rise every day all over the country. We, would have liked to believe that in our little area, because they think we country, that doesn't happen here. And we all know that areas like North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, that's got major interstates traveling through, we are the hub, one of the hub areas of the country. Being that said, have we seen any city in North Carolina that has adopted this practice, that it has helped to discover crimes being done? Do you have any information of any area or city that this practice will help?
So I'll start, and then I'll let Detective Warner add her piece. And so in the presentation, we mentioned wanting to be proactive. And so that would put Winston-Salem more at the forefront of addressing this issue. I did say that Greensboro has already done it, and that's because they were aware of illicit massage businesses in their city, and they wanted to take measures to do something with their city ordinance that could address that. The state statute does not address ways to make a city less hospitable. And so that is a place where city ordinance could help. And so Greensboro has achieved desirable results in closing down some of their illicit massage businesses after implementing their ordinance. And I don't know if you want to say anything further.
Well, to expand on what you were saying about just the whole human trafficking issue, this specific type of trafficking not only includes sex trafficking, but labor trafficking. It's a combination of the two. And the reason it's been a challenge, and the reason that we're sort of still in a pioneering phase, although it's gaining momentum across the country in how to combat the issue, is because they do operate so much like a normal business. And also there's the challenge of the immigrants and their background and their culture and their reluctance to identify as victims. So how do you prove a human trafficking case when someone's not willing to tell you that they're being forced to do something? And so this ordinance would be part of a multi-pronged effort, along with financial investigations, looking into the fraud, the immigration fraud, the benefit fraud, and the money fraud that's involved with these types of criminal organizations to combat the issue.
One more question. In recent years, have we had any incidents of illegal massage parlors in our city?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely. We've completed investigations on both the federal and the state level, and charges have been issued in both cases.
Thank you.
That was important to know that we are not exempt from this bad behavior. How do you expect to be informed about bad actors?
Well, there are several different ways. If members of the public see something that's concerning, they can always reach out. They can notify the police department. But we do expect that as part of the application process, if there is something that comes up when the police department does the background check, or if something is amiss when we receive information, that would be one way on the front end to identify those businesses that might have those bad actors so that they can be eliminated as a part of this process.
So, bad actors know how to avoid everything that you put in place for them to do right. So if they don't do the application, they are not trying to be front and center and open. They're really doing things underground. How do we plan to pursue that?
Well, that's one of the good things about this ordinance. Since it addresses people providing massage and bodywork therapy, or businesses providing those services or using titles that describe those services, it is incumbent on them to have all their ducks in a row and all their paperwork. And so if we become aware of businesses that are holding themselves out as legitimate without having done the proper application process, then all of those enforcement mechanisms that were discussed come into play at that point.
Are we planning to actually tell the public about this ordinance and let people know that this is a requirement and that we're looking at that kind of behavior?
I do not see a problem with that, and I would defer to other staff members or the city manager as far as that.
Absolutely. Obviously, the businesses have to know that this requirement is in place so that they can apply, particularly our legitimate businesses. And I think that what was not mentioned there is this is another tool in the toolbox for our police department or for our other agencies to make sure that people are operating properly. Our legitimate massage parlors obviously want to stay in business, and they don't want to be competing with folks that are not doing things above board. So this gives us opportunities to deal with that in ways that would have been much more difficult without this ordinance in place.
I think that is important. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Chairwoman Scipio. I do have one other question for clarification. I don't want to beat this into the ground, but so on the year that the business needs to submit their paperwork to the state, let's just say the year prior, they had submitted their proper paperwork to the city, since that's a yearly thing. They would be submitting on the on year to the state, they would be submitting paperwork to the state as well as to the city. Okay, all right, very good.
Yes.
All right, okay, good. Well, very good. I just, thank you, needed that for clarification.
Is there any other discussion you'd like to have? Or if not, I'll consider a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a nice motion and a second, so all in favor, please vote. And that is unanimous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next part of our agenda, that's all of our official business, but the next part of our agenda says committee orientation. So we want to do something a little different. Before we have that, well, part of the orientation is letting our new members of the committee know who's in the audience and what they're doing for the community right now. Before I introduce the police department, though, we'd like to see Chief Mayo, who is our very tall, has nothing to do with putting out fires, chief of our fire department. And Chief Mayo, while you're there, introduce yourself, but share some words of wisdom for our community about this holiday season.
Sure. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, to you, Mayor Jones, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, members of the committee. So I am Trey Mayo. As of next month, I will have been the fire chief in the city for 10 years. I was hired from outside. I came here from Rocky Mount. I've been in the fire service in North Carolina for 36 years next month. I don't look that old, do I? Joining me this afternoon is Assistant Chief of Training Patrick Grubbs, and I was looking at, there he is, also in the back is Assistant Chief of Logistics, Chief Sawyer. Chief Sawyer, you want to stand up since you're way in the back there, make sure they back there sitting behind all the police officers. Welcome to you and the new chairwoman role, and to all the new committee members. I would say, given that where we are in at this point in the season, a lot of folks have concerns about Christmas tree and Christmas tree safety. That horse is probably left the barn for this year, because folks who are buying real trees, except for those folks who are looking for, kind of last minute deals, those trees have already been purchased and are in place. So what I'm getting ready to say is really for folks who are buying fresh cut trees next year is, I'll tell you what we don't have a fresh cut tree anymore at my house, mercifully. But for many years we did, and I did not have them cut the tree at the Christmas tree farm, or the lot, wherever you bought the tree. I waited until I got it home, and I made that cut immediately before putting it in the stand that already had water in it. So the procedure I'm trying to convey is the tree has to go in the stand with a fresh cut, and you have to keep that cut covered in water all the time, because even after an hour or so, if that fresh cut is not, once it comes out of water, that tree will heal itself, and you'll never get that tree to drink water again like it would when you were watering it through that fresh cut. So that is a very that is the key to keeping a Christmas tree well watered. And some stands, the base is only this big, and you put a tree trunk in there that's that big, that there's not much room in there for water. So this is something that, you've got to tend to some of these trees several times a day to make sure they stay wet. So that's number one. LED lighting has made Christmas decorating in general much safer than it was 30 or 40 years ago, because LEDs don't draw a lot of current. They're cool, don't make much heat. So where we see problems with Christmas tree fires is ones that are not watered like they should, and they are adjacent to space heaters, fireplaces, other sources of heat like that speed the drying process and can act as a source of ignition. We also have had problems last year, as a matter of fact, it was at least that recent. We had a Christmas tree fire set by a juvenile playing with, I can't remember now if it was matches or lighters, but no different in principle, set the Christmas tree on fire, and that juvenile died in that fire in a mobile home. Those Christmas trees have a lot of surface area. They are full of sap, which is flammable. So just need to keep them moist and keep them away from potential sources of ignition. And then Christmas is the number 2 day in the year for cooking fires, and across America over the years, depending on the year and other factors that have kind of pushed trends around, but you can count on year over year, half to 2/3 of all fires in America start on the cooktop, largely due to unattended cooking. So given that so much cooking will be done on Christmas Day, second only to Thanksgiving, we certainly encourage folks to, we have all kinds of little quips on the side of our fire trucks, watch what you heat and stand by your pan and all of those. But the message is, at its root, never leave
Would you
cooking
repeat that
unattended.
again?
Ma'am?
Repeat that again.
Watch what you heat and stand by your pan. But it is so easy today to get distracted by the text message, the social media post, the phone call, the baby crying, the doorbell ringing, whatever that takes you out of the kitchen for what you think is going to be a few seconds, and you come back and your cabinets are on fire. And cooktops are more sophisticated. I mean, I told you how long I've been in this business, and I will tell you that I would say one time in 20, when I turned my electric cooktop on, I turned on the wrong burner. The controls are more sophisticated than they need to be. And if you're not really paying attention, you will turn on the wrong burner. We encourage, your cooktop should not be an extension of your countertop. That your cooktop is for cooking. That is not where you come in and put down your pizza box, your mail, your groceries, et cetera, et cetera. If you are not cooking, your cooktop should be clear. You should not leave dishes on the cooktop, that you're going to clean, put in the dishwasher the next time there's space available. Your cooktop is not part of your countertop. And then the final message I would leave you with, and if we do this as a routine, you will hear, I will probably close out with this every time, and that is make sure you have working smoke alarms inside and outside of every bedroom and on every level of your house. We have a smoke alarm program, and I'm getting ready to give a number. So you can visit our website, cityofwsfire.org, but if you don't want to do that, you can call our risk reduction specialist, Teresa Knops, at 336-407-1343, 336-407-1343. We have a free smoke alarm program. We come out. All you have to do is call the closest engine company to your house. This is for city residents only, but the closest engine company to your home will come out at your convenience, check smoke alarms, and install new alarms. And the alarms that we use in our program these days have a 10-year battery in them. So all you're responsible for is testing them weekly. And, when you come by, I always encourage people to take their vacuum cleaner hose and put the dusting brush on it and just vacuum the dust and other things that accumulate in that smoke alarm so that it works as it is intended over that 10-year kind of shelf life, if you will. So smoke alarms are pretty cheap insurance, but we had a double fatality fire in the wee hours of the morning Saturday. There was a lot of damage in that fire, but to the best that we can determine, there were no working smoke alarms in that home, and that is unfortunate. That one of the individuals died in a room adjacent to the room where the fire began, and we don't have any reason to believe right now that if that victim had been alerted, they probably would have been able to escape that fire. And that's unfortunate for, the cost of $15 or $18, what retail cost of a smoke alarm.
But the fire department provides free smoke alarms.
Yes, ma'am.
For those who can't afford them.
We install, 600 to 1,500 a year, depending on what, just what's going on that year. And, like a lot of things, demand is up and down, but yes, ma'am, we install a lot of smoke alarms. We're putting a smoke alarm up somewhere in the city every day, and a lot of times multiples per day.
Thank you, Chief, and I'm sure our council members with us will help spread the word. Watch what you heat.
And stand by your pan.
And stand by your pan.
Stand by your pan.
By your pan and get your smoke alarm.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Chief.
Absolutely, thank you.
Chairwoman Scipio, I have a question for Chief Mayo. Chief, thank you for being here. As a new council member, it would help me, and hopefully would help my colleagues to not in any role to play Santa Claus. I have that role to play at home. But if there were a few things, if you had a wish list that would help make the fire department greater than what it is, I would like to know maybe what you're thinking maybe 2025, 2026, 2027, how proactive and innovative we could be in our thinking for that, and get us ahead of any other municipalities that may be thinking of those same things. It would be helpful to me, hopefully to my colleagues, to get a sense of what that is. So maybe in January, Chairwoman Scipio, if it's okay, if that works for you, if you wouldn't mind maybe providing us with what that is, whether that's 5 things, whether it's 10 things that you are just looking for that would make the fire department even greater than what it is, then that would be appreciative.
Understood.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Still, before the police department, there are some other people that we need to, you're going to come up now?
I'll come up and I don't know when he'll be here, so if you want me to introduce our police folks, I'll do that.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
well, we're waiting. Good afternoon. Chief Penn sends his regrets. He is on some well-deserved time off, but you guys will have plenty of opportunity to meet him. So welcome to our new council members, our new chair, city managers, mayor. My name is Katie Allen. I'm Assistant Chief of Police for the Field Services Bureau. Our department is broken up into 4 different bureaus. And so the Field Services Bureau is broken into 2 different divisions, the Patrol Division and the Special Operations Division. And so I'm going to introduce a couple of our folks that are here, and then I'll point out the other assistant chiefs so you can kind of have faces. But I've sent you all an email last week with the captains, the new patrol captains. So some of them couldn't be here today. They haven't taken their roles officially. But you will talk to us a lot in the Patrol Division because your constituents will reach out to you a lot. And so we're happy to help with whatever concerns you have. So with me from the Field Services Bureau, I have Captain George Jenkins. He is District 1 captain. And then I think that might be all I have. A couple of them are in training. So Captain Ryan Phillips is away in training today. He's over our Special Operations Division. He's currently over District 3, so he'll be moving over to Special Operations. Captain Branshaw is retiring. Captain Chuck Olivo is currently over District 2, but he will be moving to the Professional Standards Division. And Captain Crystal Pritchard will be taking his place in District 2. And then we have Captain Jamie Keltner, who will be taking District 3. And so he's newly promoted. He's currently working as a field commander on midnight shift, so he's asleep right now, and because he worked last night. And then finally, we have Captain Jason Gates, who is over District 4, our new central district here in downtown and portions of West Salem, Washington Park, that area. And then I'll introduce our other assistant chiefs. So I'll start back in the back with Assistant Chief Chris Diamont. He is brand newly promoted, and he is currently, it's kind of a flex division right now. So he is currently what's called our Support Services Bureau, but we are in the process of restructuring that to the Executive Support Bureau. And so he's the cog of the wheel that gets bodies in the house. So right now we need bodies, and so his group is really tasked with training, recruiting, and then he will also have professional standards housed in that house. So he gets the ball rolling for us. We had a brand new class of recruits start this morning. Started with 27, and right now we're at 25. So the morning was tough for a few of them. It's not for everybody. And so sitting next to him is Lieutenant J.J. Thompson. He is one of the lieutenants over there in that division. Also from that bureau, so I'll start here with Brittany Gomez. She is she's the director of our evidence management section, and she is organized to a T. She keeps track with over 200,000 pieces of evidence and can pretty much tell you where every single one of them are. Next to her, you saw Martha Hicks earlier, director of our 911 Communications Center. Next to her is Captain Amy Galden, who is currently over our Support Services Bureau. And then next to that is our new Captain Jake Swaim, who is captain over the Operations Support Division, which is training, recruiting, and that shop. Did I miss anybody out of that shop? I don't think so. All right, so I'll go to brand-new Assistant Chief David Rose, and he is going to be the new Assistant Chief of our Investigative Services Bureau. So he has our Criminal Investigations Division, which are detectives that work so hard that are keeping our violent crime rate down so low, so we appreciate them. And then, you don't have Patrick's not here, so Patrick McCon will be the new captain over that bureau. He is not here today. And then and then he also has our Vice and Narcotics unit, so we will have an acting captain over that unit, and that is Sean Mabe will be our acting captain. And then finally over here, we have Assistant Chief Manny Gomez. He is the captain over our Criminal Intelligence Bureau. That is our technologically savvy unit. They have our real-time crime center. They also have our gang unit, our gun crime reduction unit, our violent firearms investigations team. So they are using technology and hitting the streets and solving some of the violent crimes. Next to him is Captain Michael Knight, who is the captain over that bureau, and he knows everything there is to know about drones that he didn't want to know, but does know now. So he also oversees our Drone as a First Responder program. And I think that's everybody. Did I get everybody? So right now, what our big focus, just to be really, really brief, is we're really proud that violent crime is down, and that's been really attributed to our patrol officers out there answering these calls, our detectives getting out there solving these crimes, and then using that technology to kind of overcome the shortfall we had in staffing. We are seeing monumental leaps and bounds in our staffing with the class that just graduated. 27 of them hit the street. They're in field training right now, and then our new class that just started today. So we're proud to say that we're not seeing people leave except for retirements, really, and we've had a couple resignations really with people moving, spouses relocating things, people not wanting to leave the profession, just having to leave for family reasons. So we are proud to say that we're seeing a big uptick there, and we're glad to see that happening. So that's where we are with the police department. We're happy you're here, and we encourage all of you guys to come do a ride along and just come over, tour the real-time crime center, tour the building, and see what we have going on over there.
We will always have something interesting going on in the police department.
You got that right.
We hope they'll all be wonderful, joyful moments and not those that cause us to get more gray hair and a little bit more stress. But we'll do our best to work with you on behalf of the council to hear your needs, to hear your concerns, and to learn. Mostly learn, because so many people have perceptions about law enforcement, about fire prevention, fire protection. And one of the things I hope we will do is give them the facts, the old dragnet, just the facts, just the facts, to make sure we have the right perceptions. City Manager, Pat, you have an excellent staff that works with the public safety departments. Would you like to introduce them as well as the other key staff members who are attending today's meeting so that our new people will know exactly who they are?
Okay, so I think you want to know who's in the room, huh? So
Yes.
I'm going to let Attorney Carmen talk about it. She's got several staff members here first.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Scipio, committee members, council members, mayor. Happy to be here this afternoon. Of course, I'm Angela Carmen, the city attorney, at least until December 31st at 5 p.m.
What time is that?
Let's see, where do I start? Assistant City Attorney, or Senior Assistant City Attorney, Lori Sykes. She advises public safety. Senior Assistant City Attorney, Camille French, soon-to-be City Attorney. Assistant City Attorney, Pridgeon Green, who also advises public safety. And Deputy City Attorney, Jerry Contos. Is anybody else in the room?
Fred.
Oh, excuse me, I can't see back there. Assistant City Attorney, Frederick Evans. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
I think you got them. I'll let the, I don't think, Ben's got at least somebody from marketing here, Ben Rouse, or one of the ACMs.
Afternoon. Chairman Scipio, members of City Council, Mayor Joyce, introduce our interim deputy marketing communications director, Sue Spanko.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think, Angel, I think you just have police department folks here, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you all know Angel Wright Lanier. And I think Sharon Voida, I think you just have fire folks here. So then we'll go to Aaron King, Assistant City Manager, and he's got at least a couple of departments here.
Good afternoon. So from the public safety side, I help to support the emergency management division. I don't think we've got anybody here this afternoon. I'm sure we'll be hearing from them in due time. The only other folks I've got here from DOT, you've already met Jeff and Reed in the back. I've also got Chris Murphy, our planning director, here.
And I believe that catches everybody in the room.
Okay, thank you so much. Well,
Did we miss somebody? Who's back there that I can't see?
oh, Scott. Oh, Scott, the money man.
Scott's hiding in the back, so if you don't know Scott Tesh,
Yeah. That's
our
Scott-
budget director.
That's Scott, the money man. He tells us where money is, or not, mostly or not.
And he reports to me, so that's my fault.
Did you have a question? Okay.
Thank you, Chairwoman Scipio. I would just ask, I don't want to be remiss with this, but Assistant City Manager King, when you got up there, reminded me the same type of wish list that I asked of Chief Mayo would be great to have. So if that word could get back to August Vernon, and then also the Chief Penn, for January, if possible, I think that would be great to have and for my colleagues to hear as well. So didn't want to leave you all out.
Well, Councilmember, I'm gonna have to step in if you're gonna ask everybody. I've got,
You have a wish
There you
list?
go.
I've got 28 to 35 departments that all have a wish list of things that they.
Right, that's right. Everybody submitted a wish list.
Full opportunity to see all of that. as
That's
we
right.
go
That's
through the
right.
budgeting process, and we'll bring back most of the key issues that departments have for the strategic planning process to move forward on that one. But
Thank you.
it would take a lot of time to talk about all the wish lists of all the departments
Thank
in
you.
the city.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Pate's way of saying,
Wait until we get that plan. Thank you.
well, thank you so much. I think okay, I've been stalling. We're gonna see think he's here. Hold on a minute. Just be patient, everyone.
Is it Santa Claus?
Just about.
You'll take care of your wish list.
Did he do one?
I think you can proceed with the meeting, ma'am.
All right. So I'm going to do this in the person's absence, since they have decided to not show up. And that's Assistant Chief Wilson Weaver, who has been trying to avoid any recognition of his pending retirement. He's here. My love is here. Hey, baby! Chief Weaver,
Yes, ma'am.
I thought you were about to break my heart.
I was trying to, ma'am. You know, I don't like this type of
My baby.
recognition.
Yeah, I know, but
Thank
you
you.
have to have at least for me.
No problem. I'll see you in the streets, East Ward.
Around the corner. So, Chief, I want to introduce you to our new council members. And unfortunately, they won't be able to experience the weave.
But we're leaving them in good hands. They will be
No,
fine.
there's no one who can replace you.
Thank you, ma'am.
But I want to let you know that we at the city are so grateful for your 40 years
Thank you.
of service. Some people can't do 2 hours in the academy. And you've done 40 years of service. And I was thinking about you, and I said, well, Wilson, W is you were wise all these years. The I is that you always had integrity in everything that you did, which is amazing. The L is that, why did I have that? Oh, I think it was because you're loving and you show passion for others in the service that you did. S is that you're steadfast. You never gave up. You never gave up in the most critical times. O is because you knew that obedience to process gets you to success. And the N, noble. You are a noble person. So wonderful that you didn't do it for yourself, you served the people. And I want you to know you are beloved because of that. You're an exemplary example of what we would want any public safety officer to be.
Amen.
You're cool, you're calm, but you know exactly how to get it done. So I appreciate that, Weave.
Thank you, ma'am.
I appreciate that.
And as you knew my mother, and as Mayor Pro Tem knew my mother, I think she'd be proud.
Oh, I know she's proud.
You know, serving in the city in which I was born and raised, and so that's why I have such a dedication to the city of Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
I love my city.
Yes. So I did make sure that some folks were here, so if you guys want to say something, feel free to do that.
You were an example, extraordinary example of what public service is. When small business has a challenge and you show up, not once, but multiple times, to communicate, to share, to support, and to be a friend to business, small business, and the people in your community, you are appreciated. And I thank you personally.
Thank you.
You know you're my baby, right?
Yes, ma'am, I know.
For those of you who don't know, many of you have heard I was his babysitter when he was a child growing up. His mother, Ann Soro, Vivian Weaver, and his father, Wilson Weaver, was my shop teacher at Atkins High School. And when I wanted to take shop, and they told me I couldn't because girls, at that time, it was home economics or something like that, and I'd already had that. Plus, if you lived in our community, I already knew how to do all of that. I wanted to be able to build things, repair things, and Mr. Weaver was the one, his father, that went to the principal in the school board and advocated on my behalf to allow me to do that. When I was asked to be his babysitter, you know, I also was their domestic help, which allowed me as a 16, 17-year-old to earn money on the weekends cleaning up the house because his parents were busy. Both of them were educators, highly involved in the community, and they loved their only child, Wilson. And I said I would, but then once I was cleaning, they asked me, because the babysitter, something happened that she couldn't come, and they asked me would I be willing to babysit that evening, so they called my dad. And my dad and Mr. Weaver, his father, were very, very close friends, said yes. And that particular night, they were going out to this very formal event. And I was, yeah, that's right. I was supposed to take care of him. But you know, he was an only child, and he was loved, and he was spoiled.
Yes.
And when it was time for him to go to bed, he didn't want to go to bed. And he challenged me. And he bit me. So all of this stuff about y'all think he all that, I got it. But I was the recipient of his childhood tantrum. And I told him, like most parents did back then, I said, wait till your mama and daddy get home. And when they came in the door, I met him at the door. He was still up. He had his pajamas on in the living room. And Wilson, I remember the whole house, the layout of his daddy built the house, his beautiful home on Spalding Drive. And when I told him that he had bit me, his daddy gave him that look. And he said, young man, you knew what that meant, didn't you? But all the years I've known him, his family, and him, watching him grow up, watching him come to work for the city of Winston-Salem, I love him. And my family loves his family and him. So you know that we still family. And that this city is so much the better for those of you that put your life on the line in public safety and first responders in any kind of way. And when you get the blessing to be able to walk away, when you get the blessing to walk away with your life and your health and your family and the legacy that you are leaving in this city, I thank you as well as the citizens of this city. I thank you. I thank you. And I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna be crying in a minute I stop.
Thank you, ma'am, but I will apologize to you publicly for an event that happened over 55 years ago.
Now we know why he didn't want to come.
I echo everybody in saying congratulations to you and thank you for your service. You have always been the same. I've always known you as being the same. I have seen you walking the City Hall, the halls of City Hall. I've also seen you in action, whether you knew it or not, with a couple of crime scenes. Not crimes that I committed, but just so happened to be in the area and saw that. And you were consistent, and you have always been someone that I've seen as being integral. So thank you for your integrity. Thank you for your service. I sure hope that you find some sort of way to enjoy a new way of doing things in the city besides protecting it. But I know, surely you're leaving the city in good hands. So again, thank you for your service. Hope you find something a little fun to do, whether that's in Winston-Salem or elsewhere for a few days. But make sure you come back and stay in Winston.
More fun than being a police officer in the city of my birth?
Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe you won't find. But you could do something a little different, and hopefully you'll be able to do that. And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I am 46 years old, so you started the police force when I was 6. Is that accurate, right?
1984.
Yes, sir. So the example that you set to everybody who works with you and works underneath you is a beautiful example. So as you leave the force, I think our prayers are that the people who are coming up on the ranks will be like you in that aspect, and the integrity that I heard of and the longevity that you have of your career, we can only hope for those who just graduated recently. So thank you very much for your service, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate all of your words. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Weaver, on behalf of the whole city. And we're going to do a little bit more than that. In my words, there'll be something else a little later on. If we can find out where you're going to be. Thank you for your commitment to the city. As been said, the city is clearly a better place because of your work and your dedication and your love of the city. Just an example, you all know that I like to hike on the Appalachian Trail a couple times a year. I got back from a hike, and there had been a murder on the trail not too far from where I was at. Chief Weaver was the first one to call me. He said, Mayor, we got to up your firepower. But he's that type of guy who's always looking out for his friends and his family, and the city is your family. So thank you again for your dedication and your commitment to us.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. I appreciate your words.
Thank you, Weave.
Thank you.
Don't leave. I got something for you because I couldn't give you, we couldn't do anything here because you are so resistant.
Yes, ma'am.
We wanted to have a party, but you were so resistant, but I baked you a cake.
Thank you.
She cooks. She bakes.
if you enjoyed this Southern holiday. Committee members? I believe we are adjourned. Do I need a motion? Okay.
Move
let's
to
have a
approve.
motion.
You can,
Move to adjourn.
you got your gavel. Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you.